The question is, how can couples have peace in their marriage? You see, the word peace is cultivated. Peace is acquired. You don't just sit down and then ask it to come to you, especially in a marriage. Why marriages are failing today is because people have not been briefed to really assimilate by heart what marriage is all about. People see marriage as an institution that legalizes sex and that solves it. No, marriage is beyond that. And the foundation of peace in every marriage is that marriage that is constituted upon the conscience, the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once having the conscience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the supreme person, supreme being that ordered or instructed marriage. And so whatever you do in that institution will be accounted for. A man once came to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu and complained to him that his child is wayward. Umar radiallahu anhu instructed the man to invite his son over. When the son came, Umar asked him radiallahu anhu that your father complained that you are such and such and you are wayward to him. Why is it so? Is it really the way your father have said it? And he said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. It is as he has said. And Umar instructed that the boy be caned. They should whip the boy. And the boy requested for Umar that, Ya Umar, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, wouldn't you be fair? Wouldn't you allow me to say my own part of the story? And Umar gave him permission to express himself. And he said that he is my father. He married for me an uneducated mother, a black slave woman. And after that, he has refused to give me education. And anytime I go out, I get ill insulted by the nature of my mother and the nature of the lack of education my father has brought me upon. A man also went to Ibn Sirin to ask him that, "Oh Shaykh, I just got married, advise me on how to build a good family." Ibn Sirin said to him, "You are late." He said, "I just married?" He said, "Yes, you are late." Because the decision to build a happy home, a peaceful home, starts from selecting your spouse. Choosing a wife because she is God-fearing. Prophet ﷺ said, "Tunkihul mar'ati li arba'," that you people marry women for 4 things. He mentioned a number of things: beauty, riches, the type of home she comes from, etc. But he said, فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ, that you should marry that woman with the deen. And deen does not mean the hafidha of the Quran. It does not mean the woman who wears niqab and hijab head to toe. That is not deen. That is physical. And the real deen is in her attitude. The real deen is in her character. And Prophet ﷺ said the best of women is that woman that if you instruct to do something that is lawful within the corridors of Islam, she does it without asking questions. And when you travel, she protects her chastity only for you and takes care of what you've left behind. Now, some of the clashes you have in every marriage, in most of the marriages that you see, are clashes of man giving instructions and woman refusing to obey, and all that, the man feeling like a king and wanting the woman to be a slave, then the man also needs to understand that the wife is a colleague in the business of marriage and not a slave. You need to start looking at your wife like a partner. And to strike the balance between the two, the wife sees you as the head of the house and you see her as a partner that takes care of the house. And the two cannot do without other. And I tell you, brothers and sisters in Islam, when you look at some of the challenges we have today of divorce, or a wife killing her husband, or the wife killing the co-wife, and all that, like in the past week in Mina, a lady was alleged to have killed her co-wife and burnt her corpse. This is something that in the last century, you ask our fathers at that time, they will tell you that it is unimaginable, it is impossible. But it is happening today. Women used to be the epitome of compassion. Why have they become so aggressive? They have become so aggressive because they have misunderstood the concept of the marriage institution. They are now looking at it as an avenue for competition, aggressive competition, show of power, and then show of complete dominance. Marriage is not a jungle, sister. It is a place for you to strive and struggle for the pleasure of Allah. You accept all sorts of things just for Allah. And if Allah is your goal in marriage, whatever comes in between would not distract you. Because Allah, the picture, Allah, is greater than anything around you. And for you to be able to domesticate this belief, you need to force yourself to believe it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ يَتَصَبَّرْ صَبَّرَهُ اللَّهُ. Anyone who practices patience, Allah would make him patient. You need to start practicing patience. Sometimes when the wife says something that hurts you as a husband, you just pretend as if you are patient. Not that you are patient, but pretend as if you are patient. Look away from it, because that is the way they have been made. And anytime she speaks, allow her to speak. And when you speak, sister, when your husband speaks, allow him to talk. And allowing him is to keep silent until he has said all the things in his mind. And you can decide to be the psychologist in the argument. How do you play the psychologist? Is to say that thing that he's not expecting you to say. After saying all the things, just say to him, I'm sorry. And that solves the whole issue. Continue to pray. Just like you ask Allah for promotion at your workplace. Just as you ask Allah for wealth, ask Allah for peace in your family. When you continue to pray, do spiritual efforts to bring in peace into your family, peace would come automatically. And that is why I say the word peace is cultivated. You don't just see it and have it. You have to pursue it, you have to look for it, and you have to grab it at any instance that you see it. How you grab it is to be patient, is to ask Allah for peace, is to continue to be perseverant, to be resilient, and tell yourself, my enemies want this marriage to collapse. It will not collapse. My enemies want this marriage to fail. It will not fail. So your mission is to make sure the marriage works. And if it does work, the success is yours and paradise would be yours. Because the only thing you need to do to get to paradise, the Prophet ﷺ said to men, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِ. The best of you is the most righteous to his family. And to the women, when you pray your 5 daily prayers and you obey your husband, you get paradise free of charge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us peace in our families, to unite us as one, and to help us in developing the peace and tolerance between ourselves and our spouses. Wassalamu alaikum.